You're watching LMCC, your community TV.
Welcome to The Pulse, the show that tunes you into the heartbeat of the Lake Minnetonka community. Tonight we're going to explore how to get the most out of your March. Well, first I want you to think back to December 31st and the New Year's resolutions you did or did not set. I remember very well that I set some and I haven't done very much on them, and my goal was to get more organized. So tonight I've invited somebody to help me touch base with that goal. She is co-founder of a business right here in Excelsior called The Commons. It's an uncommon workplace, which is a communal workspace where people come together to connect and network and work on projects together or not work on projects together. It's a really cool space. And she's also a life coach, and she has a degree in business finance. So please welcome Peggy Stefan.
Thank you. It's nice to be here.
Yeah, good. So Peggy, we talked earlier about organizing systems and how, you know, for me, all the paper in my office has the same value, whether it's a scrap that big with a phone number on it that I had 10 years ago, or if it's like a document that I'm working on right now. I mean, I really don't have any way to determine what's the most important thing and how I should deal with it. Can you give me some advice?
Sure. I'd love to give you advice.
Great.
Well, you know, one of the things that I've learned, Beverly, in having both a life coaching business and having the Commons is that different people work different ways. And the most important thing that I see is that you have to work the way that works best for you. Just if it works for me doesn't necessarily mean it's going to work for you. And if you're going to try to do it my way or try to do it the way that's not best for you, you're not going to get anything accomplished. And then that's when procrastination comes in. That's when putting things more aside comes in as well. So in terms of deciding what's most important to you, you just told me everything in your office is important to you. Important, yeah. And it probably is. So if you're going to try to tackle it all at once as an organizational job, I'm going to get my entire office organized, it's overwhelming. That's probably why you haven't done it. But if you look at it as, I'm going to take one chunk of this and I'm going to decide, for instance, this week that I'm going to get my calendar in order. I want to get everything ready so that I can show my mileage for my taxes. That might be it. Or maybe it's that I need to get my billing system in order so that I'm billing my clients on a timely basis so that my cash flow is good. It might be personal information. Gosh, I need to get my bills done, or I need to get back to correspondence that has been sitting here forever. If you just look at everything as one singular piece, it's a lot more surmountable than I'm going to organize my entire office.
Oh, that makes sense. That's a really good thing. I can do that. So organization systems, I know I've bought baskets and bins and folders, and I've got a file folder that's completely crammed that I really never open, oddly enough, which is so full of important things. So, you know, I guess how important is a system or actually, I want to ask you too, what system do you use?
Well, I'll tell you a secret. I'm not the most organized person in the world. Sorry. But what I am is a person who has my own system of prioritizing what's important at that time. I also can find anything in my mess. And you and I did talk about that earlier. You know where all of that is. But there are probably some things that you could let go of in the form that they're in right now. For instance, you might have that file drawer that you never open anymore. You might want to scan some of that information into your computer so that it's in a file there that you can easily access by keywords or whatever sort of software that you might be using. I've really gone to an electronic basis myself. And while sometimes it's causes its own problems because if the technology isn't working, that can be really frustrating. At least I know that everything's in one place, and if I don't remember where I put it, or if I'm not sure how it coordinates with something else, there are all kinds of great software systems that can help me utilize what I do have better. And then on the same note, when you have information that you've had around for a long time, you might not need it anymore. But discarding it is too difficult to do. And so that's why I recommend to people that you look at maybe doing a system where you scan information in, and there's lots of different ways to do that.
Okay, I hadn't thought of that. So I know there's a lot of things to learn there, so that's good. Well, I just wondered how important, we talked a little bit about motivation.
Right.
And I think that's really good. How important would imagination or visualization, would that help, do you think?
I think that imagination and visualization helps in everything. I mean, if you can visualize where you want to be and how you want to get there, it really kind of manifests itself. If you're just going to start at something without a clear goal in mind, I promise you won't get there.
Anywhere, right?
You're not going to get anywhere. You can spin your wheels a lot, but you're not going to get any place. So I think if you can visualize what your end game is, and I think it has to be, again, what your end game is. For instance, right now, because of taxes, and you and I talked about that,
right.
There is a deadline. And there's some saying that if there weren't deadlines, nothing would ever get done in this world. That kind of is the case with me.
Yeah.
I'm a really great procrastinator. But if you can visualize that what I want to do by April 1st is have all of my information into my accountant so that he or she can prepare my taxes for me, what are you going to do between March 3rd and April 1st to get that done? And again, if you can visualize or imagine what it would feel like and how great it would be to have that done, that's a great motivator.
So the emotion, imagine the emotion of it
Yeah.
rather than sitting there imagining filing everything. And
Well, you know how difficult it is to get anything done if there's no payoff for it.
Right.
You have to have some satisfaction. Sometimes just the satisfaction of a job well done is plenty, is
Right.
all that anybody needs. Just to get that monkey off your back is motivation enough. But sometimes it can be something even a little bit more exciting. If I get this done, I might get my return back in time to still go on a vacation this spring because it's been so lovely here. We all want to stay in Minnesota right now. But it could be something more exciting like that. And if you can visualize that, it can be a real motivator.
that's wonderful, Peggy. Thank you. So I just wonder when you think is a good time to ask for help, like tax time or organization or what? What do you say about that?
Well, I'm a real believer in having other people do things for me if I'm not making money at doing it, work-wise. Okay, so for instance, I'm not a very good bookkeeper. I do have a degree in finance. I've for years thought, I can do this. I shouldn't pay anybody to do this. I'm smart enough to do this. But the fact of the matter is, I don't do it every day. It isn't my strength. It isn't the thing that I keep up on. So paying somebody to do that work for me has been the hugest stress reliever for me. And that person also takes great pride in what they're doing, and they do a way better job than I ever could do.
That's great. Thank you. That's good advice. Well, Peggy, as a bonus, I know you're offering a 30-day challenge, inviting people to take a 30-day challenge, and I'd love for you to tell us about that.
Well, it's just something that one of our workers at the Commons came up with, that we'd have a 30-day challenge and just do something. It could be stopping doing something, it could be starting something. And everyone's posting it on this little board that we have. So for instance, I looked tonight before I left and somebody said they're going to start juicing some more. Somebody said that they're going to exercise more. But I think to get even more specific, like the juicing example is a great one. So adding something sometimes is a lot easier for people to do than taking something away, because then you feel deprived. So I think a great 30-day challenge for everybody is to look at something that you can add to your life that will add interest, that will add that payoff that we were talking about before, and that can maybe also add something to others in your life and to make everybody's experience of your 30-day challenge a little bit better.
Okay. So right now we're going to offer to all of our viewers for the month of March to take this 30-day challenge. Either add something wonderful for you and others or take something away that isn't helping you. Well, thank you, Peggy. You've been lots of fun to talk to, and I hope you'll come back.
I'd love to. Thank you.
Thank you. So stay tuned. We're going to be right back.
Here's what's coming up on First Responder TV. We'll talk with St. Bonifacius Fire Chief Shane Weber about how to ensure your home is safe on Safety Source. The Excelsior Fire District trains every winter to respond to ice-related emergencies. We'll introduce you to Rick Eltendorf, a Loretto firefighter who goes above and beyond, and we'll give you an update on scams that have been targeting citizens in the lake area on Scam Alert.
First Responder TV airs daily on LMCC's Channel 12.
If you've been keeping up with local news, you know there's a proposal to create a scenic byway around Lake Minnetonka, and tonight we've invited somebody to talk to us about that. He's a businessman and owner of Games Digital. He's former president of the Excelsior Chamber of Commerce, among many other things. He is also the mayor of Shorewood. So please welcome Scott Zerby.
Hi, Beverly.
Hi.
Nice to be here.
Hi. It's great having you. So this proposal, I know that 14 communities towns in our local community have gotten together and met with officials. What did you find out in that meeting?
Right, so the first I heard about this project was last year when I first became mayor. Commissioner Jan Callison, who was our Hennepin County Commissioner, had a little meeting of the Lake Town mayors, and Ken Wilcox from the city of Wayzata brought this proposal to us at that meeting, and I was intrigued by it. I thought it was a very interesting idea. The idea is simply to designate a corridor around Lake Minnetonka as a scenic byway. Mm-hmm. So the roads are already there. It's simply sort of putting them on a map and adding more definition to them. So these 14 cities got together as with Mayor Wilcox as the host at the Minnehaha Creek Watershed District headquarters, okay, and discussed it a little bit further. We had a national expert on the scenic byways that works for the federal government, as well as some local officials to talk about what a scenic byway is. So it generated a lot of questions, probably more questions during the meeting than answers necessarily, but I think that there was a great deal of interest from the 14 cities to see something further and try to pursue this a little more. Great.
So what all is involved, Scott? Like signage, are there any construction issues? Lake access, will that be affected?
There would be signs that would be put up. I think the first step would be to establish a scenic byway committee, which would have to basically represent the 14 cities around the lake. That committee would take input from the cities in terms of what was historically important or otherwise, in the area that should maybe be put on the map and designated as part of the scenic byway and help plan that route. That's typically what's done with the scenic byways, where a committee is formed with the interested parties, and they meet on a regular basis. It could be every month or once a year, depending on where the project is. And then there's just simply signage that goes up along the way. But one of the things we heard from some residents as a negative was there was a concern about it generating extra traffic. Right. In my opinion, I don't think it's going to generate a whole lot more traffic than what we're seeing already. Traffic continues to increase around the area. Probably the number one complaint we get at the city council is traffic. People are going too fast, there's too much of it, it's too loud, or whatever. What the scenic byway I think would help just preserve and identify the characteristic of this roadway now. So it would allow us to put a definition around why this area is so special, and it's particularly in the byway, and help us give a little more definition to the way we would like to see our area developed. It would, I hope, help prevent just us getting some generic roadways installed. Engineers typically like to just build roadways to a preset standard. So it could be a time, several years from now, where we just get a generic 4-lane highway going through with concrete barriers, and that would not be my wish. I would hope that a scenic byway would help us give a little more of preserve the character that we have, and give some more interest to the area as well. So,
I know it's a wonderful area and so many wonderful neighborhoods out here. There's a lot to see and a lot to do. It's easy to see how this proposal would benefit the bigger towns like Wayzata, Excelsior, but how about the other towns? What do they see that will they benefit from it?
Well, I think for Shorewood, it's actually been interesting because it helps us kind of dig a little deeper into what is significant or interesting in Shorewood. Shorewood has a rich history in the agricultural business. We have a well-known historic resident called Peter Gideon, who actually was the first person to make the apple tree winter hardy in Minnesota. And so his former estate is on Shorewood property, and Shorewood was part of Excelsior Township for over 100 years. So there's a lot of history in Shorewood as well. That again can be identified and labeled and put onto the Scenic Byway and give people, really, even local residents, something that they didn't know before, something to discover.
That's interesting. That's really interesting. So it's really just a way to highlight what is beautiful and successful and wonderful about this community.
Absolutely. From a physical standpoint, again, you're looking at it, there's probably a map, which may be online or in paper, and then some signs along the road to help kind of guide you along the way. Interesting. There's a road in Shorewood called Yellowstone Trail, for example, which actually was a scenic byway. Back in the 30s, people would drive out to Yellowstone Park, and the way they would do that is because they would see boulders painted yellow along the way. And so that would just let people go out there. So we've had a rich history of trails and byways really in the area for a long time. And I would like to see this project, for another reason, so these 14 cities can really work on a collaborative basis instead of working all independently. You know, the lake is part of our heritage, and we all surround the lake, and it kind of binds us together. So I think the Scenic Byway is sort of the next step to be able to allow us to preserve and protect what the lake is about and encourage people to come out and visit us. Lake Minnetonka has another long history of being an entertainment hub for the metropolitan area. So we appreciate, I think, when people come out and, you know, eat in the restaurants and see movies and shop in our shops, as well as use the lake. I mean, that's just, I hope the Lake Minnetonkans remember that the gracious invite that they offer to the metropolitan area as well to enjoy our natural resources.
That's great. So this will just be a nice way to focus our community for the betterment of the whole community, actually.
Absolutely, and literally puts a frame around the lake.
Yeah. So I know that Bushaway Road from, well, it's 101 actually, isn't it?
Yes.
From Wayzata down through, well, forever, but anyway, through Excelsior. Has been designated as local scenic highway.
Right.
Has that affected things one way or the other, for good or bad?
No, but that's was sort of the precursor to this Scenic Byway proposal, because that was one way that Wayzata identified that they could help maintain that road's unique characteristics and its appeal. And again, to give it some definition so that the road wouldn't just become, again, a flat, generic, you know, type of highway through there. So that was the inkling, I think, for Wayzata to then go further on a broader scale. And as far as I haven't seen any issues with it being a designated byway, a local byway. I mean, I think residents enjoy what it is today and want to see it continue for a long time in a similar manner.
Well, I know when I was kind of looking into this topic and I was researching this road, how much history it is. I mean, Indians walked there, and then some of the finest families in Minnesota have made that their home, finest architecture. So really just knowing that and digging into that made me so much more aware of what some of the things are that are local here to see and take advantage of.
Yeah, absolutely. And we have new residents here all the time, and I think they would, again, enjoy finding and discovering these sites for themselves and where they are located and how important it is to the area's history. So I really think it's a nice idea, and I hope we can get somewhere with it. I think it's a minimal investment for a big return, really, in the long run.
Great. Well, it's very exciting, and we're glad you came in tonight, and we do hope you'll come back to talk about it. And something else I want to talk about, too, is we both share an interest in invasive species, aquatic and land-based. So hopefully we can talk more about that, and we can let our viewers know more about that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's been some really good progress made in elimination methods for, and now it comes down to funding, and that's really the stickler, right? Is how it's going to be paid for. So,
right.
Yep.
Funding and communication.
Absolutely, and some education as well.
Yeah, so we're here for that part.
Awesome.
Well, thank you so much, Scott. I'm
Thank
so
you.
glad you dropped by.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me, Beverly.
Okay. We promised we'd go out and take a look at some local coffee shops in the area and show them to you. So we found some really cool ones, and now we have Catherine Dewar, who's going to tell us all about the Living Waters Cafe in Minnetonka. So Catherine, take it away.
I'm going to introduce you to Mark Torkelson, who's one of the partners for the Living Waters Cafe, along with Tom Carluccio. And hopefully he can tell us a little bit about his wonderful cafe here.
Yeah, I mean, we started with a kitchen and bath showroom, and then one day just decided to go for our dreams, really, is what we did. And we built kind of a community wellness center with a great organic cafe right in the center of it. So we've got a yoga studio, we got treatment rooms in the back, and other several different rooms around the space to hold different classes of all kinds of different walks of life. And we just cook great food right in the center of it.
You have an amazing kind of community center here. Can you tell us a little bit about the kinds of things that happen here besides your fine restaurant?
Yeah, we have a lot of great meditation classes, breathwork classes. On Friday nights, we do a thing called community healing, and all the different people at all kinds of different modalities that practice out of here, they set up their tables in the yoga studio, and we offer samplings of whatever they do to the public. So it could be anywhere from chiropractors to massage therapists to Reiki. There's card readers, psychics, all kinds of different mediums. So yeah, it's a lot of fun.
And one more thing, tell us a little bit about your food, because that's one of my lovely experiences here, is your good cooking.
You know, the funny thing is, Tom and I, when we were building this, we thought we were going to staff it and have people cooking here and all kinds of things. And we spent so much money on building it, we had to start doing it ourselves. And I just happen to be I've cooked my whole life, never taken a class of any kind. Same with Tom. We just love to cook, and we've learned at a young age to cook healthy, and we kind of put that in our menu, and we just enjoy it so much, we put so much love into it. That's pretty much how the food turns out that way. That's how it works, you know.
Well, I thank you for this opportunity to meet with you. You've got a great organization going on here on so many levels. Thank you so much for your time.
That was great, Catherine, and we hope you'll all go out and check out the Living Waters Cafe. So thanks for joining us tonight on The Pulse, the heartbeat of the Lake Minnetonka community.